Hi, welcome to Salt and Burn This. I'm Sammy.
And I'm Valerie.
And this is our Supernatural Rewatch podcast.
Each week, we're going to break down an episode in order with lots of details, so nothing's left out.
And we throw in some personal nuggets and stories and research to mix it up just a little bit.
Because not only are we fans of the show, but like Sam and Dean, we've also had our fill of road trips.
Yeah, but for theater, not for hunting ghosts and demons.
And not in a super sexy muscle car.
Anyway, shall we?
We shall.
Cool.
Although I do have a funny story.
Yes.
I'm trying. Yeah, you're gonna give me 2 seconds to remember it. Well, a couple of things. One, you know how like when you're in the car and a song comes on, you want to jam, so you turn it up and you're like, yeah, this is great. Well, anytime like a supernatural song comes on the radio, I'm like, yeah, this is great. And I turn it up and I'm jamming. And then I realize that, you know what, when you're not in the Impala driving your little RAV4, not quite the same effect. Really not the same effect. And I was like, I thought I was looking so cool. Like I was just feeling cool.
Yeah.
And no. Yeah. So I had I had a different funny story, but that was my big thing. Cause I was like rocking out. And then I realized that I'm like,
Yes.
I'm not as cool as I think I am. You really do have to be Sam or Dean,
yeah.
to pull that off. So I wish I could remember what my other funny story was, because it actually was better than what I just did. But
what show are you seeing tonight?
The Odd Couple. One of my friends is I think he's Oscar. He's Oscar. And it's my friend Dave Wright, the guy who
yeah
does bacon frying in a pan.
Yes.
Yeah, he's Oscar. So I'm gonna try to cut out of my family gathering here and drive out there and surprise audience member. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be the first show I've seen like on purpose since when I came to New York and saw.
Yeah, I was gonna say you saw the Peter Pan Goes Wrong.
Yeah, hysterical.
I've seen a few shows lately because I've been trying to make a point of going, because it's like, I live in New York, what am I doing? I don't see anything.
Yes.
So we saw Harmony because we got free tickets right before it closed. It was okay. That's the Barry Manilow show. That's not about Barry Manilow. It's about the Jewish singing group that disappeared during the Nazi times. Let's see, what else? I saw one show twice because it was fabulous, and I would see it again.
What was that?
It's called All the Devils Are Here, and it was written by Patrick Page, who is a famous, and I know him from musical stuff. Like he was in Hadestown. He was the original Hades in Hadestown.
Okay.
Just this like really sexy older guy with this like really like deep voice. It's like this. So he wrote this one-man show talking about the evolution of the villain and how Shakespeare kind of created the villain and how we know him today. I am not a Shakespeare connoisseur at all. Like not even a little bit. I know Shakespeare's name and I know he wrote Romeo and Juliet and a handful of other things, but I don't know the characters, I don't know the stories really. I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to Shakespeare, but this guy, he's like in Shakespeare. And it was just fascinating because he would just like drop into these characters like instantly and like do a scene out of them and come out and talk about like, okay, and this is why, Iago is really like the most psychopathic one of them all. He's really unsympathetic, unlike the Jew of Malta in The Merchant of Venice. You know, he's like, you can
Hmm.
really see why he would become a villain because the way people treated him. So he's got motivation to be an asshole, but Iago doesn't, you know. He just
He's
kind of
just an
goes,
asshole.
yeah,
Yes.
so he just kind of goes through, but it was like, it was everything. It was a masterclass in acting. It was
Uh,
short and sweet. It was such like a minimal set and it was so intimate. And he did a talk back after both times so you could ask him
wow.
questions. Oh, it was like one of the best shows I've seen ever. And it was so simple. It was just like him on a stage with like a handful of props, but that's
That's
all it
amazing.
needed.
Well, that's like how I felt after Hamilton, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, just two rotating discs,
Mm-hmm.
and a wraparound, balcony. And I was like,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yep.
Just get back to basics.
Do you just want to say I took notes for like 80% of it, and it was like the last bit I just sat and watched.
I did the
Um,
exact same thing.
that's so funny.
I did the exact same thing. I was going to say, I may have to lean on you for the last.
Well, we're gonna go through it together
Oh,
because
no.
I was in my apartment and then I was gonna just like, you know what, I'm just gonna sit there and enjoy this and watch it and then I'll go
Hmm.
back. But then when I went back, that's when Netflix caught me and is like, you know, this is not part of your household
You're.
yet. So I was like, okay. And then I just didn't have time to do it today. So
Another reason to hate Netflix.
we will be fine. Yeah, screw you, Netflix. Season 5, Episode 3, Free to Be You and Me. So much rhyming, loved it. After years of hunting together, the brothers split up. Dean and Castiel search for the Archangel Raphael to find out where Castiel's father is. Aching for a normal life, Sam gets a job in a bar, but his past catches up with him and he finds out his much more devastating future. Written by Jeremy Carver and directed by J. Miller Tobin.
Is that a new
I
name?
I believe so.
So it's funny. It's actually a little misleading, I think, to say that he was aching for, a different life or a normal life, because I really feel
Hmm.
like he wanted to. It wasn't about finding normal. It was taking a step back from the dangerous path he was on. I
Yeah.
don't think you know what I mean?
Yes, yes, you are correct.
As is my thing, I had to look up the free to be you and me, or whatever is it, free to be you and me, because it's like it had to be something. And
Hmm.
it was a TV show in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
First it was a children's record, Free to Be
Okay.
You and Me, and then they turned it into a TV show. And it was basically kids talk about their feelings about their siblings,
Wow.
right?
That's a nice little Easter egg
Right?
of the title.
And down the road, the CW, when like the CW first started, like 2006-ish,
Hmm.
part of their promotional stuff was a tagline, free to be you
Oh,
and me. Yep. So
fun.
double Easter egg there.
Totally. Never heard of that show or the record.
Nope, me either.
All right.
So,
In our recap, the recap is a conglomerate of things. It's Sam reacting to his addiction to demon blood. Jess makes an appearance. Wonder if she's going to show up here. She does a
what?
few seconds later. The talk of vessels and Dean being the main vessel for Michael. Killing Lucifer is a terrible idea. I'll just find God since you failed. You
Mm-hmm.
and then it leaves us with the boys are separating for the
Yep.
second time in the series.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So now,
Now we get a shirtless Sam,
yes, yes,
which
and I wrote
which was nice.
I said nice to see the anti-possession tattoo is what my note
Yeah.
was. So we're in the Great Plains Motel. Sam can't sleep, and he rolls over, tossing and turning to see Jess
Yeah.
in his bed in that stupid virginal white nightgown. The stupid, which she never would have worn, because she had those cool little jammies. Like she would have been in
Yeah,
cute
she
little
had like, yeah, you're
underoos.
right.
So just strike one for, is this Jess? Like that for me, that would have been a clue. But and it's actually this scene was a little heartbreaking for me, a little bit.
Oh my God, the end of my notes of the now was, damn, Jess.
Yeah, yeah. So while it was lovely to see Sam shirtless, he immediately becomes open and vulnerable with Jess and is like,
Yeah.
I miss you,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, yeah, I miss you too, but you're the reason I'm dead, basically.
Yeah.
Like I was doomed the second you said hello to me. And Sam's like, but
Mm-hmm.
no, that's not true. But and she just keeps like kind of she's not being like facially mean. She's just being factually, twisting the
Yes,
knife that he already feels that pain. And she's just like,
yeah, she's not being vicious at all. It's just more of a matter of fact. You're right. And, you know, he says at one point, it's like, I went because I wanted to be normal, and now it's because I know I'm a freak. And she's like, no, but you kind of always knew you were a freak, deep down.
right.
Um, and then she says something along, it's like a warning that the
Yep.
people, excuse me,
You
the people closest to you die, and that's never going to change.
Yep. And you'll never change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's title splash. That's how that little clip ends.
I know.
And I just felt so bad for him because he was so like, this is Sam. This was Sam being
Hmm.
emotional for Sam as opposed to him being like bedside Sam, which is emotional for somebody else.
Yeah.
And it really kind of broke my heart. Cue contrast montage is what I wrote
Yeah,
down.
it's a compare contrast montage, because it's Dean moving on and hunting alone,
Yep.
and side by side it's
And Sam's
Sam being a barback in Oklahoma.
I mean, there's cute little side by sides, little Dean closes the trunk of the Impala, casually like sheathes the giant knife under his, you know, casual suit disguise, and then crosses the street into the hospital. At the same time, Sam is, burning his fake IDs. I did notice a couple of names on the fake IDs.
Yeah.
R. Bachman. Um, R. Bachman, I had to look this one up, but R. Bachman was a name that Stephen King, the writer, used as his pen name for like the first 3 or 4 novels that he wrote before he started using
Mm.
his own name. So a little disguise. R. Daltrey, obviously Roger Daltrey from The Who. Those are the only ones I could really see before they burst into flame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dean is showing his detective Bill Buckner ID badge, and Bill Buckner, of course, was first baseman for the Red Sox, who lost them the World Series in '86. I watched that game. And he's also asking about exsanguinated patients.
Yes. In a mortuary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this I really liked is Dean is slaying a vampire against his car.
Yes.
Sam is slaying lemons on top of the bar.
Yes.
And then they both each clean their respective surfaces.
Yeah.
After the
Of
fact.
blood off the Impala and of lemon juice off the bar.
Yeah.
Yes, that was
Now,
actually really cute.
something fun. Our map quests moment. There's a few different places here, right? There's oh crap, Graber, Oklahoma. Or Gabor.
I thought it was Garber, but yeah.
It's Garber. You're right. I didn't write it down. I remember typing it in to find out where it was.
Good memory.
Thank you. And Greeley, Pennsylvania. Later, they go somewhere in Maryland?
Maine. Waterville, Maine, yeah.
Okay. Greeley, Pennsylvania is literally a 10-minute drive from my house here.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I went by it because I came into town yesterday, and I went by it, and I was like, "Oh, this is where there's a plant nursery in this town that I go to. Not a lot because it's really expensive, but they have interesting stuff sometimes, so I go there." But yeah, I drove by and I took a photo of an inn that they have there, and I'll text it to you.
Not the Great Plains, is it?
It's not. It's called the White Pine Inn.
Oh my gosh, close enough.
Yeah, but when I Google mapped it, I was like, oh my gosh, I could go here.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Even
Yeah,
though they were never there, it's still really fun.
yeah, it is. So that's my little connection
Yay!
to this episode here.
That's great. There's one other map quest place that the boys don't go to, but Castiel does take a trip to Jerusalem. So
Oh, yes.
yes, we don't see him there, but he does come back from Jerusalem. Just a little side map quest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that little montage was cute, and it was
Mm-hmm.
also a little sad again to see,
Yeah.
them doing separate things, and Dean's doing a good job, doing the
Mm-hmm.
hunter thing, and clearly he's doing okay without Sam. It's just a bummer to see him without Sam,
Yeah.
and Sam is, making his own way, and as a barback, why would he ever? But, nothing he has to focus on except himself and the
Yep.
task at hand. There's
Yes.
no, yeah, easy.
And yes, and he can be, as it gets pointed out later, he can kind of be mysterious. Like he doesn't really have to get into his
Expl
background. And I'm
Right.
sure if you're looking for jobs and passing out your resume or whatever, there's a giant gap.
Right. Between when you left school and
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a barback job is so easy to get, especially when you're like big and hulky like he is. He can, lift kegs and all of
Right.
that
Yes.
stuff.
How
So
convenient.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. All the while, by the way, this montage is underscored by Leonard Skinner's Simple Man, which was
Yes.
a really
Yes.
wonderful song to put there.
Yeah, a nice underscoring. And they did the same thing they did
Hmm.
in the previous episode with the extra diegetic music, which is we hear it as our music, and then it turns into what Dean is actually listening to in the car because he
Yeah,
then turns the radio down,
yeah,
and that was the music that was playing. So
yeah.
just want to do a nice little shout out for the source music
Hmm.
again. Um, but he turns down the music and glances to his right, and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
it's funny, it's a recognition, that you still have that muscle memory to always check.
Uh-huh.
It's like whenever I don't have the dog with me in the car, I still check to see if she's in the car. It's kind of silly, but not that Sam's a dog, but that muscle memory of a
Yeah,
partnership.
yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So I know.
I just giggle at this jump scare.
Yes. This starts Cass's venture, or Cass's character's venture, I guess, into some humorous situations. So Dean is in his motel, he's washing his face. When he looks up, there's Cass directly behind him,
Like in his face.
in which Dean has to say, remember what we talked about when it comes to personal space.
Space.
Boop.
Boop. Yes. And again, this is one of the reasons I love Castiel is that he has no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why
he
would
doesn't
he?
know.
He's an angel.
Well,
He
yeah.
doesn't understand human interaction or
Interactions.
their habits or like the rules of conduct, the code of conduct,
Right. But he's just so deadpan about it. He's like,
Oh God,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, right. All right. So
Mhm.
the reason I'm here is
Yes.
and the reason he's there is Cass still hasn't found God. And he's asking Dean for help. He's like, I need your help. And the amulet, the Samulet, clearly hasn't been helping him find God. And
Mhm.
Dean really wants his amulet back.
Yeah. Dean wants it back. Jensen does not.
Yeah. And while I need your help, I don't need your help to find God. I need your help to find Raphael, the archangel
Yes.
who killed me.
Mhm. Or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Angel who killed him. There's two.
You know what I think is sad
There
is
are
that
like two wasted pop culture references here. There's that one.
yes.
And
Yep.
then he says something about Thelma and Louise later, which, gets a non-reaction from Cass. And poor Dean
Yep.
is like,
He's
okay.
like, come on, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving
But
you
also,
gold
I was
here.
just thinking that nowadays it would also be lost for anyone new watching the show. I think
Oh, I don't think so. I think Thelma and
No?
Louise
Okay.
is pretty up there. I knew those references before I even saw the movie. Like I
Okay.
was aware of Thelma and Louise driving off the cliff.
Okay.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's a whole new generation of it
It's
that's
coming up
happening.
again. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay. Okay. But I take that remark back. But yes, two totally wasted moments on Cass. Pop
yes.
culture wasted on Cass. But the idea, going back to Raphael, is that they would trap and interrogate Raphael so that he would tell them where God is.
Mm-hmm.
Dean is not convinced that this isn't like a suicide mission, considering that Cass has been killed once already by this
Mm-hmm.
archangel, was to keep him from doing again, a la Thelma and Louise. Do we
Yep.
just hold hands and drive off a cliff
Mm-hmm.
together? And Dean's always asking, why me? Why do you need my help? And once again, it's because you're Michael's vessel, and no one's gonna mess with Michael's
Yeah,
vessel.
he's basically like a protective shield.
Yeah, exactly. And Cass emphasizes again, I need your help. So let's go to Maine.
Yeah.
And this is a meme that's used all the time, which is an outtake, and I don't know why. But like Cass is like, okay, let's go find Raphael, and he goes to like, you know, pop Dean on the head to
Uh-huh.
shoot them off into space or whatever. And Dean's like, whoa, whoa, last time you like did this to me, I didn't poop for a week. We'll drive. We'll take the Impala. We'll drive. But that's listed on the outtakes. And I'm like, but that's the actual thing. Last time
It
you
may
zapped
have
me
been
somewhere.
maybe it was like an improv
Improv.
that then got used.
Last
Yeah,
time you zapped me somewhere.
it was his delivery of that line that was just so I didn't poop for a week.
Didn't poop for a week. You imagine? Oh man. And this reminded me, I forgot to mention one of my favorite outtakes, with the whole poop for a week from the gag
Mm-hmm.
reel. And it was from the last episode. And so I'm kind of kicking myself that I
Oh,
didn't
well,
that
what
I
is it?
forgot it. Um it's at the beginning of the last episode, Bobby's still in the hospital, right? And he's in that bathrobe and he's all grumpy and angry because he
Yeah.
can't walk. There's an outtake of Castiel, Sam, and Dean in the hallway. Bobby's in the hospital
Uh-huh.
room, and you hear Bobby be like, "Hey, you guys, get in here." And then you hear like, I think it's Jensen who's like, "Hey, you guys, quit jerking off in the hallway." Yeah, and so they all start making fun um, of Bobby and his delivery.
Yeah.
And that's all. Just
Oh.
I just love the jocularity of those actors, them just like, hey, yeah, what are you guys doing? Get in here. Quit jerking off in the hallways. Ah. Don't know why it's funny to me, but it is. So I'm sorry. I didn't mention that last week because maybe it's because it was so serious in that moment of,
Yeah.
Bobby being in that position of
Yeah, that he's paralyzed now.
paralyzed. Yes. Just love it. Just shows the camaraderie of the performers. And I love
Right.
that.
Right.
I really love that.
All right. So now we're
So
gonna cut really quick to Sam slash Keith's
Keith.
bar. It's so weird. He does not look like
He's
a
not a
Keith.
Keith.
Not
Not
even a
even
little bit.
close. You know.
And oh God. And then the cutie blondie bartender chick, she's playing darts and she's trying to, get to know Keith a little bit, especially since
Right.
he's so mysterious and that he's
Yep.
tall, handsome, can fill out the Saturday New York Times crossword, which is the hardest crossword of the week.
Yep. Challenges him to a game of darts.
Very confidently says, "When I win, you'll tell me everything."
You'll
And
buy
he's
me
like,
dinner and tell me everything.
"Okay."
Yeah. I don't like her. I don't like her. And through the entire episode, I don't like her.
No, me neither. And
Nope.
this was, I think, the fault of the writers. They just
Don't know how to write
threw
women.
her in there. They didn't know how to write women. I feel like she was some sort of framing device that was just thrown in last minute. And then when you get bad writing, it's hard as an actor to do it well.
Yeah.
So, at first I was like, I hate this actress, but then I have to say, you know
It's
what?
not.
She did good with what she was given.
Exactly.
And it was an unfortunate
character.
character that she was given. But she had no chance with this dart game because Sam throws bullseyes, all three.
Right. Right. Because, grew up in bars.
Yep.
In the meantime, the TV starts blasting a breaking news interrupts their game. And what is it? lightning strikes, setting a whole town on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it all started with a hailstorm, and Sam's like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of omeny
Yeah,
type
that's a lot of
stuff.
end of the world signs happening. All right. So Dean and Cass, and here's yet another funny scene with Cass learning how to not only be human, but to be a hunter kind of human, which is a whole nother breed.
Which means you have to lie and be deceitful
An angel has to lie.
and be in disguise.
Yes.
So Cass gets some aliases this time.
Uh-huh.
There was a park ranger there in town who apparently laid eyes on the Archangel. And Dean, of course, is like, and he still has eyes? Good point. Sassy, but totally good point.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is yes, he does. But I was like, solid question, Dean.
Definitely. Yep.
It's kind of nice seeing Dean and Cass working together with a little bit of levity, a little bit
Yeah.
more levity than they've had in the past.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this is where Dean tries to teach Cass how to lie to get answers. And it doesn't go well.
No, he doesn't listen at all. And this was just some delicious humor here where Cass is fiddling with his badge to show the deputy, oh, I'm FBI. It's upside down. It's an oldie but goodie gag.
Yeah.
But then it was when they're talking to the deputy. And Cass just I giggled so much for this. He's like, demons. Demons. Demons.
What?
Demons.
Yeah.
Like,
and at the same time,
he tries to correct him. He
like,
just
no,
keeps
demons.
insisting it's demons.
It's demons. It's demons. What? Demons. No. He's new. So the backstory about this park ranger is that or of this deputy that they're now talking to is that he was called to like a riot at a gas station.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was an explosion at the gas station like during the riot, and only like 30 to 40 people all out were killed. Basically except for one person. But it was an explosion of like pure white light. Dean's like, so the one guy that was left standing just disappeared into thin air. And the deputy's like, no, he's, down the road at St. Jude's Hospital or whatever.
Pete's. Saint Pete's.
Pete, sorry.
Because Cass makes it pointed, like, that's it. That's the clue. That's where we need to go. Right in front of the deputy.
So they go to the hospital.
Yeah, they go to the hospital, and then the guy is there, like, in a wheelchair, basically, like, comatose.
Yeah, like an empty vessel.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So I got it wrong. Originally, I thought that, like, it was the Archangel coming into this guy. But I think it was the Archangel leaving this guy.
Well, I don't really know.
Why would he be an empty
because,
vessel?
Yeah, or he's either a dormant vessel,
right? Either
an empty vessel, or what?
Yeah, we
don't know what's going on with him. And honestly, by the end of the episode, I still don't quite know what's going on with him.
Don't quite get it.
What we do get, though, is information that Michael, the Archangel Michael, will do far worse to Dean than Raphael did to this guy.
Right, by having him as his vessel. Yeah.
He's like, oh, great.
Oh, great.
Fabulous.
That's great. So he won't just be a drooling paraplegic.
Yeah, he'll be...
he's going to be worse.
Okay, so back to Sam. He has done some research on the signs that he was hearing on the news and calls Bobby, who we see in the wheelchair still at home, to say, talk about the hail mixed with fire upon Lucifer's rising. That's one of the things that he found as a clue as to Lucifer rising. And hangs up on Bobby before he can convince Sam to take care of it himself. So he's calling Bobby's like, hey, why don't you round up some hunters to go take care of this? Right. And Bobby's like,
I know one right there.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the best ones is right there.
Yeah.
Nope.
But Sam is
I'm
just,
gonna sit this one out. Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it's unfair kind of Bobby to to do that to Sam? Because Sam is like, hey, I recognize I have a problem.
I have a problem. Yes.
And I need to step away. You know, you put me in a fucking panic room, like
Right, because of my addiction. Right.
So now I'm going to do it my way, and I'm just going to step away from everything completely. You know,
Yeah.
this is like from my own power, I want to do this. And
Yes.
Bobby, and then later, like some other guys are like, no, you do it.
Yeah, the world's ending. You got to do it.
Yeah.
I have thoughts about that when we get to it too.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But I was a little annoyed. I was like, Bobby, come on.
Yeah. The only reason I can give Bobby a slight pass is because he's stuck in a wheelchair and he's really frustrated with the current situation.
Totally.
That's my only pass for Bobby on that one. But you're totally right. It was unfair. So cut to your typical supernatural abandoned house. Cass appears, having gone to Jerusalem with like this vat of holy oil, rare, special holy oil, to do this ritual to bring about Raphael.
Yeah. And did you notice, I think anyway, that Dad's journal makes an unannounced appearance?
No,
Dean is looking. Yeah, Dean, like when he's walking to the little table and he's like leafing through something.
Flipping through Dad's journal.
I'm pretty sure it's Dad's journal, but he never says anything in this conversation like, "Oh, but Dad said here, blah blah blah." Right. It's just a casual. I'm going to do some research, see if Dad knew anything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Good call out. Good call out. So, but they also realized that flipping through said a journal that there, or else Cass knows that the ritual has to be done at sundown or sunrise. I forget which one, but it's not right now.
Yeah.
So they've got some time to kill.
Yeah.
And since Cassiel most likely won't survive whatever this ritual is, Dean's like, this is your last night on Earth. You know, what are you gonna? Got any plans? Like, I plan to sit here and wait for, the right time. Dean has some classic lines, which is, there's two things I know. One, Bert and Ernie are gay, which not unknown. I think that's been leaned into more and more these days. And B, Cass, you're not going to die a virgin. Now, my only why is it so important? Why is sex so important to men that you can't die a virgin? I get it. I know why. It's just funny.
It is funny. I also have a qualm of, while this sets it up for a very, very funny situation for Cass and an enjoyable situation for Dean, the whole time, starting now at this scene when Cass is doing the whole like uncomfortable signs of like rubbing the back of his neck, clearing his throat, looking elsewhere. Why would an angel feel uncomfortable about being a virgin? Like, if he does not know the code of conduct of other human behavior, like excuse me, standing too close to somebody,
why would he have any bashfulness about
like, why would an angel have that desire to begin with? And if you don't have the desire to have sex, there would be no embarrassment around it. It's just
and no prudishness about it either. Yeah You don't know what's in store. So good point. It's like it's a little forced, and it doesn't make sense given everything we know about Cass so far, which is he has no idea about human interactions. So why would this be anything to be embarrassed about or nervous about? It's just like, what's next? You know?
But I get why they put it in. Like, you could tell us, like, we need to see this happen. Yes. So I get it. It's fine. But I was a little like,
But I also think it's also just a weird thing that guys do for each other, Let's go get you laid. Like, well, why? Why do you want to be a part of that particular journey with this guy, you know? It's just one of those, okay.
All right.
So back at Keith's bar, some guys call out to Sam. And of course, the nosy waitress, I keep calling her nosy waitress because that's like all she does is like ask questions.
Yes.
Butts in to these guys who are like, hey, Sam, she's like, oh, Sam, I thought your name was Keith. Oh yeah, it's my middle name, Keith Sam, which again, that is kind of
Yeah, it's funny.
kind of bad. But the guys who happen to be hunters, kind of cover for Sam, knowing the life of hunters,
Yeah.
which is you have to have pseudonyms and stuff,
Hmm.
aliases. So it turns out they're old hunting buddies of Sam, and they're in town because of they also saw the same demonic omens.
Well, I think Bobby called them.
Oh, Bobby called them. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I think they did say that like they were sent by Bobby, and now they're
That's
also trying to recruit Sam into
right.
this business. There's three of these guys. Sam insists he can't for personal reasons, and they are super pushy and
Yep.
assholey about it.
Yep. I said, I feel like most hunters, unless they are Sam, Dean, Bobby, Ellen, or Joe, or Rufus, are dicks.
Yeah,
I just feel like every other hunter that they've come across has been a jerk.
right.
And I don't know if
Including
you,
Mary's father, in the Back in Time episode.
yes, yes, granddad.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, but you're right. They try to pressure Sam to hunt with them, and then they end up being like, well, fine. Something happens, it's on your head, basically. And still nosy waitress. What's her name? Is it Lindsay?
Lindsay.
Still is like pushing, like, ooh, what are you hiding? Type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, she's like, I insist you buy me dinner and tell me your life story. The comic
Cut
relief
to
scene of the
the
of the
brothel.
episode. The
The
brothel in Maine.
brothel complete with the bow chicka wow wow music kind of softly
Yes.
playing in the background, which is hysterical. Cass and Dean are drinking beers. Cass is downing a beer.
He's terrified. Like the look
Yes.
of
Yes. They meet
Misha's look on his
Chastity the
face is
prostitute.
fantastic.
Yes. Because they're surrounded by scantily clad women, who are, there to pick up customers.
Hmm.
But they meet Chastity, aptly named prostitute, and Dean gives Cass a word of advice, like whatever you do, don't ask too many questions, type of thing. Like, oh,
Hmm.
don't order
Don't
off the
order off the
menu.
menu. Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny and very telling about Dean and his experiences.
Hmm.
And shoves Cass like on his way. And then and Dean heads off to the bar, but not before saying, what is it, Dayanu? Right? Dean is like, he says like Dayanu as he pushes Cass away to the prostitute, which means go with these gifts from God.
Oh.
Yes, I think it's Hebrew.
I did not catch that. Good catch.
Dean heads to the bar, grabs a drink.
Yeah.
Uh, Barely has enough time to drink it,
Yeah,
like
and hit
even
on
sip
this
it.
other woman that's with him
Yep.
before we hear Chastity scream.
Blood curdling scream. Blood curdling scream. He comes tearing out of her room, runs past Dean, and is like, "That guy's a jerk," And he's like, "What? What could you possibly?"
Turns out Cass has insulted her by reading her mind and saying, "Oh, it's not your fault that your father is absent. He just didn't like his job at the post office. He was just trying to be a good guy."
Oh,
And Dean is like, "Oh, Cass, oh, Cass."
daddy issues and prostitutes.
To run this business. Yeah.
Yes, and so she's still screaming bloody murder though. And so at this
Yeah,
point,
she
like
went
the
off and grabbed
bouncers are coming.
security, so now they're
Yep.
coming. They have to run and, you know,
Yep.
bolt
Which
out the
turns
back
out
door.
has been a great time for Dean, who hasn't laughed like that in years.
Hmm. Yeah.
What are the chances of them being chased out of a brothel with an angel who just
Yes.
insulted a prostitute?
Yeah.
Which was refreshing to see him laugh, but it was also really sad to hear him say he hasn't laughed like that in years, and that
Yeah,
little cold
definitely.
water thrown on me at that
I
point.
know. All right, so now Sam is at dinner with Pushy Lindsay.
Ugh.
She keeps guessing at what his deal is. He keeps avoiding. And
She says, "I don't mean to pry," and I'm like,
that's
all
all you've been
you've done
doing.
the entire episode is pry. You are literally the definition. We called you pushy, Lindsay. We should have just called you prying, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Nosy, pushy. Ugh. Yeah. I don't mean to pry. Okay. But
So
she admits,
finally, yeah, she's got these cute little puppy dog eyes, which of course Sam cannot resist, even if he's maybe not attracted to her. I think he like
bedside
can't.
Sam.
Yeah, he can't bear to see someone like disappointed
Yeah.
by him, from him, whatever.
All right. Well, but she
So
also admits that she also, like, trying to get him to talk. She's like, well, you have a secret. I have a secret,
right.
and I recognize addiction. I have addiction. I recognize addiction in you.
Is he says he was in business with his brother and it was going really well, and then he made some mistakes that got a lot of people hurt, and now he can't bear to be with himself. And that's when she's like, what was your poison?
She assumes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she does have a good point, and she says now the exact opposite of what Jess said, which is you can be forgiven and you can change.
Yeah.
That's
no
what she
one has
learned.
done something so bad that they can't be forgiven or they can't change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Nosy Lindsay. So Dean and Cass are back at the hospital where the empty vessel guy is.
Who, and it was at this point, it was like, oh, this is the SVU chief. He's not on the show anymore, but he was for a while. And it was like, that's why when I was watching him on SVU, he looked so familiar to me. Like I could not place him from this show because he's not in it very much or very long. Right. But
the 300 guys also were actors from other shows and stuff. All right, so they're pouring oil around the wheelchair of Vessel Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Cass is chanting something in Enochian. I'm assuming it's Enochian. And then ends it with, like, I'm here, Raphael. Come and get me, you little bastard. Which is, yes, Dean is rubbing off on Cass.
Yes.
And then they set fire to the ring of oil around the wheelchair.
Yeah.
But apparently nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing happens because there's like this weird cut where all of a sudden they're like driving back
the house
to the house.
There's the house, and they're like, "Well, how long were we supposed to wait, for something to happen?"
Right. So they go back in, and then this man, as Raphael, is waiting for them inside of the house with some cool electric wing action.
Things. Yes. Yep. So it's like a thunderstorm inside the house. He gets electric wings. So it's the empty vessel guy, but now he's not empty. He's there. Dean is like, you come all the way here, you're like big bad Raphael, and all you can do is like black out our kitchen, with this thunderstorm inside.
Dean immediately goes into smartass mode, but not just smartass mode, like supercharged smartass mode. Even for me, like, it was, wow.
Well, it's probably because he thinks that no one's going to touch him. He's like Mr. Invincible.
I mean, I could kind of see later why he was, but it's like he just casually goes to the cooler, grabs a beer, and you can
out
see,
of the green cooler.
Yes, in our vision, you can see a sign of nervousness,
right,
and fear.
But then he hides it.
Yeah.
Green cooler.
Raphael is making a lot of threats. In one of his threats, he says, "Oh, remember." What was his name? Zachariah giving you stomach cancer. Well, I'm more imaginative than he is, and then starts slowly walking his way towards Dean.
Yep.
But ta-da! Turns out they knew that this was going to happen, and they have laid a second trap for Raphael.
And Cass sets fire to yet another ring of oil on the floor.
Yes.
Pre-planned. So now Raphael is trapped, which I think is funny because the ring of fire, they light the fire and it's like do 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 boop. Now it's complete. I'm like, why didn't Raphael, Mr. Archangel, be like, step? Snap his fingers, step out of the fire.
Yeah, he had like a lot of time to just be like,
just watched it.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm trapped. But Dean is like, what was my idea? Because Raphael gives him a look of death, basically, and Dean's like, no, I didn't do it.
That was him.
That was Cass's idea. But Cass is like down to business though. None of this fooling around, none of this, word talking with them. He's like, where's God? And Raphael's answer is, God's dead.
Yeah.
Very Nietzsche of him. So that's not the answer that anybody wants, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
and then we're left with that while we cut back to Sam at the bar.
Sam at the bar, alone after hours.
Cleaning up.
And like one of the 100 guys comes back in and starts demanding, quote, the truth from Sam.
Yeah. So this guy's covered in blood. He's like, we need the truth, Sam. Sam's like, what happened? Apparently things did not go well. There was like a mass of demons over in this other town.
Yep.
One of the buddies got killed, murdered by
like
him,
eviscerated.
ripped
Yeah, like
apart. Yeah.
yep.
And
And the demons told me something.
yeah.
So you want to tell me what they said? Is it true?
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, the second hunter who didn't die comes inside and he's dragging Lindsay Nosy Waitress in, so the damsel in distress with a knife to her throat,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that that's going to get Sam to talk.
Well, it does, to
It
be
does.
fair.
It actually does.
So he says, okay, fine. I will tell you the truth. This is where I stopped writing my notes, by the way.
Okay. So we actually jump before the truth telling happens. You jump back to Cass and Raphael.
Cass. Okay.
And Raphael cites that, of course God's dead, because look at this last century. Look at what's been happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Of course there's no God. That's proof. What we're living through is God's proof, is our proof that God is dead.
Yeah, because if he were alive, why would he let all of these bad things happen? Not only this century, and the last one too.
Yeah.
And Dean makes a good point.
Joke.
So he makes a lot of jokes. So because he's dead, you're just gonna do whatever you want? Like you're gonna start the apocalypse because Daddy isn't here to like rein you in?
Right, because Daddy ran off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Insert post office joke here. Insert hunter joke here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while Dean is doing all the talking with Raphael, Cass is clearly upset by the news that it may actually be gone. Like you can see it kind of settling in on him that he's not taking this lightly, but he also seems very I don't want to say hurt, but there's a look about him that he's concerned. Like there's this could be really, really bad.
Could be true.
Yeah, that Dad's gone.
Yeah.
But Raphael's answer to all that is also, we're tired. The angels are tired.
Yeah, we just want paradise.
Yeah, we just want this to be over, and that's it. We're just tired. And to hear it that way, it doesn't sound like, like the dickhead, what's his butt?
Zachariah, yeah.
Zachariah, he actually just like, we're tired.
Yeah. Zachariah made it sound like, oh, this just seems like fun. Let's do something different.
Yeah. And he does look tired. Like he almost looks like he's in tears almost. And then suddenly he blows out the windows in anger. Like,
during out this whole time, there's a giant like thunder rainstorm happening outside.
Yep.
With this window breaking open, then it all comes inside. The boys are getting soaked with rain.
Yes, with rain.
But I also want to say maybe this happened later, but Raphael poses the question to Cass, have you ever thought maybe it was Lucifer?
That brought you back? Mm-hmm.
Which kind of shuts everyone up,
Yep.
It's like,
because because Cass says, if God is dead, who raised me, who brought me back to life? And Raphael is like, everything it was Lucifer, because he needs a rebellious angel on his side.
All of the rebellious angels on his side. On his side, he needs all the help he can get in this war. So,
Cass doesn't like it and starts to leave. And Raphael's like, "Don't leave me here. I'll find you." And Cass is like, "You may find me, but it'll be later. So bye, bitch." Basically,
yes. He has such a good line that Dean is like, what he said.
yeah, exactly.
Poor Dean did not get the last line. He was Cass.
That's okay. That's the way it should have been, because Cass was down to business, and that was very Cass-like, which is switch the personality on a dime from bumbling funny Cass to down to business Cass. So while that's happening back at the bar, the Hunter guys, they handcuff Lindsay to the bar so that she can't get away, and now they can just have Sam talk the talk.
Yes.
And while still threatening Lindsay. And basically Sam says, yes, I started, the demons were right, even though initially he said demons lie. But he's like, yeah, I started the apocalypse.
I started the apocalypse. It's my fault that this is all happening.
Yep. And not a shred of understanding or anything like that from these guys. They just are like, well, now we got to kill you, essentially.
Well, but it's not just we'll kill you. It's I don't quite remember how they got from point A to point B being them bringing out the vial of blood. They
Oh,
said, well, you need to make it
that's
up
right.
then. I think it's kind of like, well,
We
then you
need
need to
you.
make it up. We need
We
you to
need to
join
make you the
this
Hulk
fight.
again.
Yes.
Yes.
And so they bring out the vial of blood. They're
Yep.
a little shocked. They said, well, if that demon wasn't right as rain, that you were, that you get all juiced up on this. I think maybe they
Yep.
were a
That's what
little
it was.
skeptical, but then they brought out the blood and they're like, oh, so
Oh,
this part is true also, because Sam
right.
didn't mention that part in his
He just
confession.
said he started the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. So they whip out that vial of blood and they're like, we need you to drink this Hulk out and help us go kill some demons outside
Yeah, especially the ones
that killed their
that
buddy.
killed my friend. Like they're
Yeah.
so caught out on revenge, yeah,
Yeah.
avenging their friend that was
Vengeance.
killed from demons, that they're willing to kill this poor innocent like pushy waitress.
Right. Yep. That's
And
the
they
end.
tried to, yeah.
Hunters are dicks.
Yes. So then they try to force Sam to take this blood. A fight ensues. It's an awesome
Yes.
fight.
Yes. Yes. And a couple of times Sam gets knocked down
Mm-hmm.
and they end up jamming the blood down his throat.
Yeah.
They're like, drink it, drink it. And then they close his mouth, they hold his nose, that whole hold your nose
Mm-hmm,
trick and
mm-hmm.
stuff. And then they're like, okay, he swallowed it. And up they stand up. And it turns out he did not swallow it. He stands up, spits the blood out, and then goes berserk on them, just all Sam style. No demon,
Yep.
no demon blood needed.
No.
No demon blood needed. Which I thought was pretty impressive to not swallow, because I was like swallowing like I was
Yeah, I
watching that
know.
scene.
He slams Reggie, I think his name is Reggie. He
Reggie.
slams Reggie down, grabs that giant ass knife, and it looks like he's gonna slit his throat. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, but there's a cut, like he's looking at Lindsay.
Lindsay.
'Cause Lindsay's right there. And I think he makes the decision, you know what, I'm not gonna go this far. He lets him go. They make threats at each other. As in, like, we'll find you. It's like, no, you won't, because I'm not going to be here.
Yeah. Bring it on back. It's okay. I'll be here.
Yeah.
If you want to die.
Yeah. So,
Um,
Sam, good for Sam. He's resisted his temptation, his addiction. Poor Lindsay had to, like,
what the hell just
like,
happened?
what the fuck just happened? You know?
Yeah, I'm still handcuffed to the bar.
Yep. He's got blood smeared all over his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
but
like,
he's not drinking it. He's not.
No, that was just.
He's also not looking at it either. Like, you know.
Yeah, like,
it was just. Because there's a second there where I thought he drank it.
Yeah.
I thought he swallowed it, so I actually fell for it. So back in the Impala, Cass is looking a little shell-shocked. Dean is empathetic, I think, about missing fathers. You know, he's like, I know all about missing fathers.
Right.
Logic told me that dad was dead, but in my heart, I knew he was alive. You know, so what is your heart telling you? And Cass believes that God is out there still.
Yeah.
And Dean's like, all right, well, good. Go find him.
Mm-hmm.
And Cass is like, well, what about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like part 2 of the heartbreak from, when he says, oh, I haven't laughed like that in years. Here's the follow-up to that is, man, I spent so much time worrying about my brother and trying to keep him safe or away from, certain things and out of danger, that being alone and without him is such a huge relief. And that just makes you sad.
Yeah,
or makes us as a viewer sad.
I'm all good. But it surprises him too, I think, to say it out loud.
Yeah,
A, no one's ever asked him that.
Yeah.
And B, saying it out loud, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm actually, for the first time in a long time, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And it is heartbreaking.
It is, but you can also understand.
Yeah,
but it's like, sometimes you just need some time apart, especially when you spend 24/7 with each other, and especially through all the heavy stuff that they have gone through. And, Sam did break his trust by, going off with this person that everybody warned him about.
Yep.
So I do get it, but it's also like, oh.
Yeah, but I think it's also hard that he realizes it, that realization is I'm actually okay. He's like, I've had more fun with you in the last 24 hours than I have with Sam. And then he's like, oh, Cass isn't there.
Well, because he
Cass
said, like,
is
and you're not even fun,
right.
so.
Right. You're not even that fun.
Who knows if
What does that
Cass
tell
was, like,
you?
insulted about that, or if he just said,
I
like,
think
okay, it's time for me to go find God now. Like, he just,
yeah, I think he was just
again,
gone.
another
That's
human, I don't know how
Cass.
to deal with a conversation,
Right.
so it's like, well, time to go
Right.
do stuff.
I heard your answer. I'm gone.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. And it's funny because Dean gives a little
Yeah.
like, all right.
Yes.
Typical type of, you know,
Yeah.
and off he drives, once again, the
Hmm.
Impala drives off. So back at the motel, Sam is sleeping and Jess wakes him up. And Sam has a retort for her from the last time she was there.
Yeah, he brings in Lindsay's advice, and he's like, you know what? There's hope.
Yeah.
There's always hope, and people can
Yeah.
always change.
Yeah. Yeah. There's hope. And Jess is like, no, there isn't.
Yes, and then she does this or the effects do this creepy
Like
thing where it changes from Jess
into
into the devil, or
Lucifer
as
as what's his butt?
I forget. Mark Pellegrino's the actor, but I forget the.
Nick?
Yes, Nick.
Okay. Yeah, so it's this
Um,
weird Bernie morph into Nick,
yes, that Sam
who
cannot see, because she's doing it behind his back. So he
right.
finishes
Ugh.
the thought, and says, "No, there isn't." So now it's this deep man voice, and Sam's like, "What the?"
What the and he like was touching him at the same time, was touching his
Yes.
shoulder. And so when he turns and it's a man touching him, yeah.
Mm,
Yikes. And Nick says to Sam, you've freed me.
yeah. So like Sam instantly knows who he is.
Oh
Oh,
no, Lucifer. And yes, so that's where like my notes stopped
okay.
because the dialogue between Lucifer and Sam was really disturbing to me, and I was like, oh, all right, I'm
It
just
is
gonna watch.
disturbing, and Mark Pellegrino, while I don't know, he seems like kind of a jerk in real person. Just from the interactions I've seen him do on like Twitter and stuff. But he does such a chilling performance as Lucifer in this style.
Yeah,
Later Lucifer years, it's not as good as this. Or he turns into this weird,
yeah, more. It's
it's a
like
different character.
cavalier.
The Lucifer character here in these episodes, I love.
Yeah.
And Mark Pellegrino does such a good job. And he's sympathetic towards Sam and his plight. He's like,
Hmm.
you have a huge weight on your shoulders, but I need you to know that the reason why I'm here now, like in your dream or as a vision or whatever kind of
Yeah.
situation this is, it's not real exactly.
Right. You're still dreaming.
So now he drops this news of the reason why I'm here is because why I'm trying to find you is because I need you. You are my vessel.
This is yeah. Nick is not. Nick is is a placeholder.
Yeah, and in fact, he's like kind of trying really hard not to spontaneously combust
Right.
with Lucifer inside him. Like he cannot
Right.
contain him.
Right. Contain, that's the word. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sam's like, oh, you need my permission. You need to be invited in, which I will never give you. I will never give you this permission. I'll kill myself. I'll just kill
Mhm.
myself. And Lucifer says, well, I'll just resurrect you. And we'll just
Yeah.
keep playing this game over and over.
Yeah.
So you really
Yeah.
don't have a choice. So I need you to tell me where you are because he's hidden. Because Sam is
Yeah.
hidden from him because of the Enochian.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, way to go, Cass!
Yay! He did
Way to
it!
go,
Something good.
Cass. Part of the lure of the devil is to convince you that he's not evil, that he's not,
Yeah.
quote, the devil,
Yeah,
that
that
he's
he's on
just
your
someone.
side.
I loved
He's
my dad. I've been
Mhm.
punished because I loved my dad too much and I went looking for him. Or, the sympathy for the devil
Yeah.
is how the devil gets you. And he's trying it. He's really pushing Sam to be like, I'm not bad. And I need you
Yeah.
to help me stop whatever all of this is.
Yeah. Especially since he says, and you will. Like, this isn't a question of if, it's
Yeah.
when, because you will. And I'm sorry to say that you will. It's going to happen. So might as well just get it over with.
Right.
And, Sam, he's disturbed at that thought, but I think he's more disturbed at why? Why is it me? Why am I the chosen one in this regard? Like, why do I have to have the bad chosen one?
Right. Yeah. Dean gets Michael, and I get Lucifer.
He gets the heaven and angels and paradise, and I get hell.
Hell, literally the worst thing.
And it wasn't even his choice. This all, as you always say, harkens back to the yellow-eyed demon pouring blood into his mouth. The Yellow Eyes, chose him. So Sam did not have a choice, and now he's stuck. He did make several choices that kind of led up to it. He chose to go with Ruby. He chose to kill Lilith on a misguided mission.
Right, but did that make him the vessel? No. I mean, I'm assuming not. I mean, how do you get chosen to be the vessel of anything? I guess is my question. How did the boys end up being chosen to be vessels?
Yes, right.
Questions.
I know. And then Lucifer just poofs. Just leaves us with that, and we're like,
poor Sam. Dean's like, I'm the happiest I've ever been,
Yeah.
And Sam's left with, you are going to house Satan.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a hard time with the ending of this episode. I had a hard time with a lot of it. I have a hard time with the like you said, Mark Pellegrino, because knowing that he, is Lucifer in these coming episodes, I had no sympathy for him in his first episode when he is Nick becoming Lucifer. Like, it's a terrible story, his family's path. But I had no sympathy for him just because of what I know his character to become.
Right.
And the part of me was a little bummed out by that, because I wanted to be sympathetic to Nick, but I was like, I know what you're gonna be. But I wanted to mention the hunter actors, the guys who played the hunters earlier in the episode. I have their names. Reggie was Colin Lawrence, and he was already a character. He was Jason.
That's what I was gonna bring up, actually, when I said remind me about the actors. So there are two supernatural repeaters in here.
Yes.
We have Colin Lawrence, who played Reggie, the main hunter, who was Jason in Faith, season 1's Faith, and then Katya Vershilas, who played Chastity, the prostitute. Played, funnily enough, Lust in The Magnificent Seven.
Get out!
Yeah.
She got to kick some ass.
She did.
Yes, okay. Oh, see, now I wrote Sean Campbell, who plays Steve, who I think is the one who got killed, the hunter who gets killed.
Yeah.
He actually appears in another season, not as Steve.
In a future season. Okay.
Yep. And I think he was in The X-Files, in at least an episode of The X-Files, so just a little call out there. And then Scott Campbell, who plays Tim, actually co-starred with Jared in in Flight of the Phoenix, a movie they made in 2000.
Oh.
Right? So anyway, those were my call outs for the...
Nice.
That's all I got for this. Are you showing me something? Oh, I saw the pictures, the house pictures.
Yeah.
That was the hotel. That's amazing. That totally could be supernatural.
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful
little inn in the middle of the woods.
Yes. Yes.
Yep, that's all I have for this episode.
That's all I have too. They didn't get the boys didn't get back together, and that bumps me out. I mean, they weren't even close to getting back. This was like the only episode where they weren't together. Like, they were never in a scene together.
Yeah, they started apart and ended apart.
Yep.
And the other time that they separated, which was in Scarecrow, I think it was in just the middle part of the episode where they were apart.
Sam is off finding
he stormed off in the beginning and then reconciled at the end. So
it's not Ruby. Who's the first demon he finds?
Meg.
Is it Ruby? Meg. Thank you. God, I don't know why I can't remember that. Meg. That was another good episode. I feel like we should go back and watch Scarecrow
Yeah.
again. That was a good episode. But yeah, but they weren't in any scenes together
Yeah.
at all. I don't think they had like,
They
can you
didn't call
imagine?
each other. They didn't
Right.
contact each other at all or anything.
Can you imagine what that shooting
Completely
schedule
separate.
must have been like?
Oh
They
my
must have been
God.
like, we're done.
Yeah.
The fastest rap ever if those guys aren't on screen together. So what's
The
next?
next episode, oh, I love this episode. And it's just because I'm reading the description and I know what it is. There's also
Okay,
a
'cause
commentary. So,
I didn't peek at all.
well, the white suit makes an appearance, which
Okay, then I know.
then you know.
Well, I know what it could be. I know what it
Right.
could be because I don't
The
remember.
name of the episode is The End.
Oh, that's apt.
Episode 4, The End. Not the
Oh.
end of the season, but
Oh.
anyway.
Oh, sorry. Here's a little tidbit because there was a preview of this coming episode when it played on TV,
Mhm.
where it was a flashback to or a cutback to something that never happened in this episode, and it showed Sam and Lindsay sleeping together,
Oh,
and that never happened. It was
it
cut.
must have
It
been a
never
deleted
happened.
scene.
Yep, but they used it in the promo of the next show, and I was like,
Oh, they
well,
do that all the
thank-
time with shows.
I know, but I'm so glad that this didn't
That he
happen
didn't
because
sleep with her.
yes, because why would he other than, sex with
Yeah.
a cute girl?
Right.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that
you're right.
was-
There was like zero chemistry between them, really.
Yeah, right.
Like
And
even
she
though he was
truly
kind and patient with her, it did seem
Yeah.
like he was annoyed with,
he
just like please just leave
wanted
me
to
alone.
live his life.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, so I was glad I walked away from that episode going, oh
Interesting.
wait,
I'll look at, you know what? I'll look at the DVD
see if it-
later and see if they included it in a deleted scene
okay,
part.
please do. Please do. Okay, well I'm excited for the next one because
Yes.
Me
Me
I didn't peek
too.
at it at all. So
All right, so that is going to wrap up Free to Be, You and Me for episode 3, and we will see you next week.
stop. How'd you do that?
Ah! For The End. We're very excited to do that episode. Please make sure to follow us anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Subscribe, follow, whatever the format is. If you can also leave a positive rating, that would be awesome
A
too.
thumbs up are a big help.
Yep, you can find us on all social media at Salt and Burn This. Valerie does an awesome job putting up stuff, so you can join us there. We would love to have you. And we will see you next week for The End.
The end.
Which is not the end of the season or our show. So
Just,
thank you.
spoiler, we are coming back after that episode.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.